Hey, good morning. Welcome to Philly with John Marks on PHLY. Brought to you by Bet Parks and Central City Toyota. Yes, we are in the home studio today. And there is a lot to talk about. A big trade with the Flyers. A lot of people maybe woke up to that, or as I did, the 2 a.m. bathroom break, as I am now having to go to the bathroom like twice in the middle of the night. And frankly, I need to be educated on the entire Flyers trade. So we'll do that with Tyler Zuley, who is our noted hockey expert on the show. That's coming up here in a little bit. Can you give me the closer shot there, Tyler? I hate having the stairs in the background. I am working on a home studio. That's good. I'm working on a home studio right now. I'm just waiting for some additional equipment to come in. Although I have no room in my home, every corner of every room of everywhere is filled with crap. Kids crap. None of it's mine, by the way. So I finally said, you're going to give me this wall in the basement. And if that means they can't have their gymnastics mat down, then they can't have their gymnastics mat down. So I'm excited to be having a home studio coming up here in a little bit. You saw the graphic coming in. Brandon Graham at practice yesterday. Yeah, he's going to play. Obviously, it's not official or anything like that, but just the way he's talking and how he is regarded in the Eagles organization, he's going to play. Now, I've seen a lot of this, and it drives me nuts. And I've seen a lot of it from Eagles fans, diehard Eagles fans, that start off the statement by saying, and I'm probably using social media here, which isn't real life, but I think in this case it is. But they start off the statement by saying, if Brandon Graham takes any sacks away from anybody on this roster right now, blah, 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 blah. Hang on a second. Now, Nolan Smith's been incredible. Josh Sweat's been very good. Jalyx Hunt's been good. Are you telling me there's not 10 to 15 snaps for Brandon Graham in passing situations, probably on third down, that we have to qualify the statement by saying if he's not ready or he shouldn't be coming back or whatever? Brandon Graham has proven to be one of the big players, Eagles players of all time. And is it just because of the Tom Brady sack? Well, just on that alone, he should be considered it. But that's not what I'm talking about. You can go back to this year where he is making plays on third down in obvious passing situations, tackles for losses in the backfield. Honestly, if Jalyx Hunt isn't getting a lot of snaps in the Super Bowl because Brandon Graham's ready to go, sorry, Jalyx Hunt, you're a rookie. Brandon Graham's not going to go. I can assure Eagles fans this, okay? Brandon Graham's not going to be out there if he's not ready to play. Brandon Graham isn't going to be eating up sacks from other players that are more deserving and should be out there. Brandon Graham hasn't played at all this year. Like, he's just out there in name only, and it's a ceremonial thing. It's more than a ceremonial thing. Look, he's actually taking snaps. If he's still injured, if he's not ready to play, the Eagles have the balls to tell him, sorry, like, you can't be out there, or to make him active. I've even seen this, like, he can't be active. You can't have him out there active, taking away from a start or a game from somebody else that should be playing. Brandon Graham, if he's healthy enough to play, is in there, and there should be no other conversation about it. I can't believe I'm even having to say this at the start of the show. Brandon Graham's not going to cost the Eagles the Super Bowl if he plays 12 snaps. You know what? He could help the Eagles win the Super Bowl. He's not going out there. How many reps can he do in the bench press or doing tricep push-ups? All right? He'll have some type of harness or whatever. He'll go on there and he'll be fine. So stop. I don't want to see it anymore. It makes me nuts. We have to talk about Brandon Graham. Oh, I don't know if he should be playing. It's not fair. You know what's not fair is these idiots that continue to go on Fox Sports 1 and ESPN. And here's why I don't have a problem playing it. I don't think anybody's really watching these shows anyway. They're just watching the clips. So they're more relevant, and this is for Pat McAfee and for all these other shows. They're more relevant for just the clips that you see on social media, and they're able to put it on the websites like ESPN.com. If you go on ESPN.com looking for sports news, you're going to see Stephen A. Smith, and they always have the graphic of like Stephen A. will be like, and then Cam Newton saying something. It's the shocker, like Chris Russo's head's ready to explode, and Stephen A. saying something. They always have that's up there. So like, I don't have a problem playing it because I'll never watch these shows because they're dumb. But I mean, so let's play Cam Newton from yesterday with Captain Obvious, Cam Newton, who, by the way, and I know that he's just kind of getting his start, and maybe like a lot of these former players is looking at it and saying like, wow, I can make a lot of money doing this. I know I made a lot of money, but I can make a lot of money doing this. So Cam Newton's horrible. And not like yesterday he had said that he would take his MVP over being a Super Bowl champion. And people got crazy. Oh, I can't believe he would say that. If you actually listen to the whole thing, he's actually saying is that, well, I'd rather be Cam Newton and be an MVP player that didn't win a Super Bowl as opposed to a Trent Dilfer or a Brad Johnson, because he brings up those guys. And he brought up Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson never won a championship, but Allen Iverson globally had such an impact. He'd rather be globally impact player Allen Iverson than a guy that won a championship. So you can debate whether or not all of that or whatever, but like I actually kind of understood what he was saying with that. But here's Cam Newton wearing his hat and sounded silly, and he's talking about, like everybody's got to poop on the Eagles. You can't just say the Eagles are a really good team because that's not content, and you can't talk about sports. And they're not going to break down the linebacker positions of both teams, which I don't want them to do. Here's Cam Newton on First Take yesterday.
All of the game changers are in the AFC. If you put the Philadelphia Eagles or Jalen Hurts in the AFC, would he be able to have gotten to the Super Bowl as many times?
Well, I mean, probably not, because Patrick Mahomes would be standing in his way.
But NFC, when you see Josh Allen versus Lamar Jackson, that's must-see TV, yes?
Yes.
When you see Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or even Joe Burrow, that's must-see TV, right?
Yes.
What's must-see TV in the NFC?
The Eagles. This year, the Lions. In previous years, the Rams. If your point is that the AFC is stronger and it'd be more difficult for the Eagles to get through the AFC, and the fact that Kansas City's right there, that's fine. But if you're going to say that the Eagles aren't a great team, the Eagles are a great team. But the Eagles have been to now 2 Super Bowls in the last 3 years if they played in the AFC. I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to tell you that they wouldn't have been able to beat Kansas City a couple years ago. They lost on a field goal after a BS call at the end of the game. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Now we have to crap on the Eagles because they wouldn't have made as many Super Bowls, so Jalen Hurts wouldn't be looked as the same. Everybody's downplaying Jalen Hurts. What are we doing? Is the AFC a stronger conference? All right. Is Buffalo really like this great team? Buffalo's a very good team. Is Buffalo the Ravens? Are they a great team, or do they come up small in big games? Right? Like, what are we talking about here? The Eagles beat Cincinnati this year. They beat the Ravens this year. They beat the Steelers this year. The teams that they face in the AFC, they beat. Last year, they beat the Chiefs before things fell apart. They beat the Bills before things fell apart. What are we talking about here? Who's the AFC team? Like the Eagles beat everybody in the NFC. Oh, but look, you go to the AFC and they're losing all the games. In what world is that actually true? It's not. They beat everybody that's in front of them. AFC, NFC. And what, the NFC's garbage? Right? You know why the NFC looks garbage if you compare them to the Eagles? Because the Eagles are that much better than everybody, not named the Lions. Lions, Eagles. The Commanders are legit. They're going to be back. The Packers are legit. The Bucks, obviously the Bucks aren't a Super Bowl team now. The Rams probably aren't a Super Bowl team. But when in the history of football do you have every team at the top of the conference that's the Super Bowl team? You have the great team or two, you have the next tier, and then you have the team that's in there because it's kind of a weak conference. Or they have an extra playoff team. That's what you have in a lot of these years. All right, what are we talking about? This is no different than any other year. The Eagles are legitimately an excellent football team. That is a Super Bowl caliber team. That is championship worthy. Gee, what are we doing? 2-time defending champion Chiefs. That first championship, the Eagles could have won. We're right there. I would have loved it. They get the ball back after a field goal. I think the Eagles win a championship. They're back. What are we doing here? GlattMCTR.com, Glatt Hair Restoration, 610-980-4000 sponsors this portion of the show. 980-4000. Glatt Hair MCTR.com. You can't see it because I have the hat on today. But I was at the office yesterday talking to Cheryl and Jen, giving them a shout out. Hooah. Let's play this. And I promise Tyler's going to have to explain this, the Flyers trade to me. So let's play James Jones. This is from a couple days ago, but I watched it again yesterday. I don't know why are these guys so mad? Why are the former players or Greeny so defensive? Because they've died, but they refuse to actually die on the sword, on the Jalen Hurts. They're so concerned about Jalen Hurts. Oh, the Eagles aren't going to be able to make the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts can't throw the ball. What the hell are they doing? And then they make the Super Bowl. Oh, well, Jalen Hurts. Blah, 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 blah. And then the NFC Championship game, Jalen Hurts was great. Oh, I never said anything about that. James Jones on, I don't even know what show it is on FS1 that he's on because they're all the same. Here's James Jones. And why is he so mad? But listen how stupid he sounds. Go ahead.
On the NFC Championship. All right. It ain't rocket science. You've been playing weak, dog. Straight up. When you take the field with the Philadelphia Eagles right now, they say, who you want to beat you? Jalen Hurts. Stop Saquon. Stop A.J. Brown. Stop. Defense going to do their thing. Let Jalen Hurts beat you. You ain't been balling. And all year long, your coach has gotten up there and had your back. And right here to me, what I took out of it, a straitjacket, that means somebody holding you back, dog, if you say that. That's the shot at the coaches saying they hold you back. You know who else in the straitjacket? Smitty and A.J. Who win back? And they getting in trouble for reading books on the sideline, but they've been in straitjackets all year long. 9 games in a row, you threw over 200 yards twice, dog. And he's throwing over 100.
Yeah, enough of him. The comments after the game about being in the straitjacket, it really was pointed to guys like James Jones and Chase Daniel and the idiots that continue to do this. He said that Smitty and A.J. Brown have been in the straitjacket because of Jalen Hurts. It's not because of Jalen Hurts. It's because of this offense. And Tyler Zulli, good morning to you. Tyler Zulli also from his home studio. Tyler, since the Eagles lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where they threw the ball 30 times, and they threw the ball 30 times probably because they were trying to come back. How many times do you think Jalen Hurts in the, I don't even know how many games because they played 3 playoff games now. In the remaining, so I can figure it out right now. So that's 4 minus that 13, 16. So in the 16 games, and Jalen Hurts didn't play all of them, I know that. But in the 16 games, how many games do you think that they've thrown for 30 times or more?
I would say no more than 2.
Once.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
Against the Steelers. Remember, it was the game where everybody said Jalen stinks. He can't throw the ball. It was after the Carolina win where the offense, he threw for 108 yards. And they came out and early, and Jalen looked great. He threw it 32 times. He was 25 of 32 for 290 yards. So right there, that should show you. And the Steelers supposedly had this great defense. That should show you that when needed to, they can very easily go to the passing game. This isn't – Jalen Hurts doesn't have a straitjacket. Blaming Jalen Hurts for A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith having a straitjacket because of you, it's the offense. They didn't lose any of these games, idiots. They didn't lose any of these games. They lost to Washington when he had 4 attempts. Right? Like, what are we doing here? So
the second worst game that the Eagles offense collectively played, or maybe the worst game that the Eagles offense collectively played in that stretch between Tampa Bay and now, was the Carolina game, right? It seemed out of sync. Things didn't feel right.
That was
and they immediately went, yeah, that's on us. Like that's an us thing. We'll fix it. And they did, right? And just, again, I go back to the comments that Jalen Hurts made a couple of weeks ago, where it's like you each game is different, and each game you win in a different way, and what is required of you in each game is different than what is going to be the next game and the last game. And he's right. And because I think it's this, like, because it's not quarterback aesthetically pleasing at times, right. It's not a guy throwing for 400 yards. There's like this discontent with a win from these national pundits, where it's like, okay, you're right. Maybe Joe Burrow throws for more yards, or Lamar Jackson throws for more yards, or Josh Allen or whatever throws for more yards, has a better like quarterback game. But in those instances, if the Eagles continue to lop off wins, isn't that all that matters at the end of the day? They're playing for a Super Bowl because they win games when it matters.
All right, so the Giants, they beat the Giants 28-3. Jalen was 10 of 14. They beat Cincinnati 37-17. Jalen was 16 of 20. No turnovers in any of these games, by the way. They beat Jacksonville 28-23. That game kind of sucked. Jacksonville came back late, 18-24. So you're seeing the efficiency in the offense. They smoked Dallas 34-6. He threw the ball 20 times, right? So just in those games alone, they're blowing out the other team except for the Jacksonville game. What do you want them to do? It's like these idiots want the Eagles to throw the ball because they want them to throw the ball, because then what are they going to say? What are they going to say? Former players, here's why I know they don't even know what they're saying and they don't believe it, because what they should be doing is applauding Jalen Hurts, because Jalen Hurts, yeah, like, is he a top 5 elite passer? Is he ever going to be Peyton Manning or Dan Marino or any of these guys? No. But here's what he does. He does what's necessary to win the games. They're not winning in spite of Jalen Hurts. Let's be very clear about this. The Eagles aren't winning in spite of Jalen Hurts. They weren't winning in spite of Jalen Hurts in 2022. And they were winning with Jalen Hurts last year before everything collapsed. They're winning because of Jalen Hurts, in addition to Saquon Barkley and to the defense and to the roster and the team that's as balanced as anything I've ever seen in this city, if not the most balanced team, and the NFL. That's how they're winning. They don't need Jalen Hurts to throw the ball 40 or 45 times a game, or even 30 times a game. It's not the formula for the success of this team. So, but that's the only thing that you can do if you're one of these national analysts that are so painted into a corner with, you're on this side of the road and that's where you got to stay and you're going down. And if they win a Super Bowl, then they'll say, okay, he won a Super Bowl. Oh.
Right.
Like, what else do you want them to do? They don't lose any games, for God's sakes.
You know, when I go back to the Cam Newton comments for a second, when I heard Cam Newton say that, I'm like, I guess on the surface you're right. And what I mean you're right by is, like, if you ask me who are the best quarterbacks in the NFL, I think the top 4 all probably play in the AFC, in my opinion. I think it's Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, and Joe Burrow, in no particular order. Maybe it is that order to be fair, but in no particular order. I think those are probably the 4 best quarterbacks in the NFL. Yes, true, they all play in the AFC. Joe Burrow's defense sucks. It's awful. It's the reason they've missed the playoffs in back-to-back years, despite the fact that Burrow played well this year and Jamar Chase had like an otherworldly receiving season, and he's going to win I think he was close to, if he's not going to win, the receiving Triple Crown. The Bills, right? Great run game with James Cook this year. Josh Allen was tremendous, despite the fact that they didn't really have any receivers of note, but they lose to the Chiefs again, primarily because they couldn't get off the field on 3rd down when they needed to get off the field. I think the Eagles would have handled the Bills in the Super Bowl. Talk about the Ravens. Lamar had an unbelievable season, and he played poorly in the game that they lost, the game that they got eliminated. Turned the ball over 3 times. They turned the ball over as a team 4 times. The teams that are playing right now in the Super Bowl are there for a multitude of reasons, but one of the biggest reasons that they're both playing in the Super Bowl right now is because their quarterbacks have limited and almost extinguished turnovers entirely throughout the postseason. Their defenses are good. The Eagles' run game has been excellent, but I think one of the big reasons that the Eagles and the Chiefs are playing in the Super Bowl is because those are the 2 quarterbacks throughout the playoffs that have limited their mistakes the most. Josh Allen did up until the very end of the game, because he had an excellent postseason individually. I think he had like 11 touchdowns. But the 2 quarterbacks that have limited the turnovers seemingly the best are the 2 that are going to play in New Orleans.
All right, coming up, the Flyers, big Flyers trade that happened late and then overnight. Tyler's going to break that down for us. Also, speaking of the Ravens, they may be in the market for a new kicker, as Justin Tucker has entered the conversation with Deshaun Watson as being a massage lover. Very odd. And then another possible NBA point shaving or betting scandal. That's all coming up. Uncle Jamie's going to join us today as well. Philly. John Marks back at 2-2, as Chuck Woolery once said. All right, Parks Casino, Bet Parks. Listen, this is a line. I'm curious to see what happens at a line next week, because it's been sitting at a point and a point and a half. It went up to 2 in some spots, but Kansas City is still favored by 1.5 over the Birds. Lots of prop bets and everything else. That's coming up. We have the BetParks app, the only app that I would recommend, and Parks Casino, my casino of choice. The headline entertainment for the new year is amazing. Pennsylvania's #1 casino, Parks Casino. This is how you win. Action, entertainment, exciting. Live table games, beautiful poker room. MMA and boxing at the Excite Center. Cole Swindell, February 7th. Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains, February 8th. Scotty McCreery from American Idol fame. That's March 7th. Magician Michael Carbonero. Second show added for comedian Ron White. That's March 20th. Country superstar Lee Bryce. March 22nd, Larry the Cable Guy. And then don't forget, you're going to the show. What about drinks or dinner? Yeah, a couple of great options at Parks Casino. The Parks Grill Steakhouse, high-end steakhouse. You've been to them. That's Parks Grill Steakhouse. I've many times. Very good. Liberty Bell Gastropub, burger, beer, entrees. Amazing. Bamboo Noodle House and more. ParksCasino.com to buy tickets for all your shows. Parks Casino, this is how you win. You must be 21. Gambling problem. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. Let's talk about him. Rothman, you're in pain? What's your prediction? Pain? Well, I'm not in pain. I was. Frozen shoulder. That's right. And I was like, what's a frozen shoulder? And then it's like, oh, you Google it. Oh, for like people that have problems with diabetes often are prone to a frozen shoulder. Or if they have problems regulating their thyroid. Oh, that's me. I have an overactive thyroid. Or is it? Yeah, I have an overactive thyroid, right? Like these are, so it made total sense after I went to Rothman, but like I just had a shoulder. I don't even know what I did. Threw it out doing something, and it didn't get better. It got worse. So after like legitimately a year of it getting worse and worse, I finally went to Rothman, made an appointment, went to the appointment, and easily diagnosed. I was thinking cortisone shot. Oh, I'm going to have to get an MRI. Is it my rotator cuff? Nope, you have a frozen shoulder. I'll write you a script for physical therapy. And boom, we have physical therapy right here. I went to Rothman in Limerick. And 6 weeks of physical therapy, they discharged me, and my shoulder's perfectly fine. It's been great since. I'm back to doing everything that I was doing before. And, really, it's like just everyday stuff. I was having problems reaching up into my pantry to get cereal for the kids. I'd get one of the tongs to actually reach up there and grab it. And I'm not tall anyway, as many of you know. But like, that's the thing. If you're in pain, you don't have to live like that. Obviously, if you have an injury, like you need a hip replacement, knee replacement, you have a problem with your spine, bad back injury, ACL, like you go to Rothman. But what if you have lingering pain, or it's like, it's about a 6 out of 10. You don't have to live like that. As long as I don't run or do anything active, my knee or my shoulder's okay. You don't have to live like that. Rothman Orthopedics, specializing in orthopedics, and you visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more and to make an appointment today. Hooah! We are back. Philly with John Marks. All right, so I knew that the Flyers were, there's a lot of chatter with the trade, and I again, I don't do fake radio or fake anything, so I'm not going to pretend I know anything about this. I've definitely watched more Flyers games this year, but truth be told, I haven't watched as many as maybe I thought I was going to. But Tyler Zulli, who stands on his head most of the time when he watches the game because he's such a big hockey fan, he has all the details in a big Flyers trade overnight. Tyler, what do we got, buddy? Uh-oh, I don't have you. No audio. You're muted, I think.
There we go. How's that?
Good.
If I'm the Flyers expert on this show, we've got a problem.
Well, I think we have a problem. Well, you know more than me. I'll say that.
Yeah. So the Flyers make a trade with the Calgary Flames last night. Here is the graphic the Flyers put up. There's the trade in its entirety. The Flyers send Joel Farabee and Morgan Frost to Calgary. In exchange, they get Andrei Kuzmenko, Jakob Pelletier, 2025 second-round pick, and a 2028 seventh-round pick.
Can't wait for that one.
Yeah, that one's probably of little merit. The 2025 second-round pick could hold a little bit of value. It'll probably be in the 50 range. You might be able to find some value for a player there. John, to me, I was a little bit surprised when I saw this trade, not because I think Morgan Frost or Joel Farabee are like these, franchise-defining players. But I was a little bit surprised just nominally moving two younger pieces. Then you kind of look at the money. And I think the money is kind of what this trade is all about. And I understand, like, from a return, it's underwhelming. Kuzmenko had a really good start to his career. I want to say he maybe had like 80 points in his first season, 74 points in his first season in Vancouver. And since then, really has struggled to stay on the ice and get ice time. He's only played, he played 72 games last year, but he only put up 46 points this year through 37 games, only 15 points. He's been a -7 with Calgary this year. So to me, this kind of comes down to a monetary thing. Joel Farabee was signed for another 4 years at $5 million a pop, or another 3 years, including
so it's a salary dump.
Effectively. So he had $15 million due over the next 3 seasons. He would have become a free agent until the 2028-2029 season. He was 5.6 to 5.8% of the cap, depending on how much the cap fluctuates in the next couple of years. I think for this sake, this is a monetary move for the Flyers to give them some monetary flexibility because of the fact that they know they're locked into the Couturier contract. They know they have the Konechny contract. They know they have the Tippett contract already. So they want some monetary flexibility heading into this offseason, probably more so maybe heading into the 2026, 2027 offseason when they are ready to compete. But it does give them a little bit extra cap flexibility because Kuzmenko's on the final year of his deal. He signed a 2-year deal worth $11 million. He'll be a free agent at the end of next year. One of two things, either they let him walk at the end of the year or they re-sign him for a much cheaper price than the 5.5 cap hit that he had this year. Pelletier, on the other hand, is a restricted free agent next year. He's only making $800,000 this year. So if they do want to re-sign him, they'll have the exclusive negotiating rights at the end of the season. He probably won't make a ton of money next year either. So to me, this feels like it's primarily a Joel Farabee money move.
All right. Well, there you go. For more details on that, I'm sure Broad Street High. Did they do an emergency? They might have done an emergency.
I believe they recorded one. I think it's going to drop sometime this morning because it was like 2:00 in the morning when the news hit, but not really. It was like, it was like 10:30, 11 o'clock.
Yeah, it was 11.
It might as well have been 2:00 in the morning. But then of course there's conversations with Matvei Michkov, with Kuzmenko, obviously of being a Russian player himself. Maybe that's a cultivating relationship. So I'm not sure if they re-sign him next year. Probably see what happens in the final, 40 some odd games.
Who cares about that? Well, I can't be. We're way in the weeds here. Flyers lose last night. Michkov, meanwhile, gets in a heated shouting match with John Tortorella after he made a mistake and it set up the Islanders a goal. I was actually watching early part of the game and I saw that. So they're yelling back and forth, and he got benched after that, which I love. So here's what Tortorella said after the game. Like I've said all along here with him, we are so far ahead of the process with him being here this year. We're trying to reach him. We're trying to teach him how things are done here, the things of understanding, conduct of a pro, all the things you do to play. I'm not going to get involved in the situation on the bench tonight. I'm not going to give you specifics. You may not believe it, but it's for the right reason. We care about him. I care about him. I'm not going to fail him by cowering away from situations that people may second guess or whatever it may be. We're going to do the right way with this kid because we think he's that special. It's my job to do that no matter what. I love it. And I love the fact that Michkov doesn't mind barking back at him and they can scream at each other. Because everything Tortorella said right there, he's correct. They need a tough coach to make sure this dude doesn't get off track. He's too talented not to do it. I also like the fact that Michkov feels like he can yell back at him because Tortorella's a dick. Let's face it. I think he's right in this situation. As long as Tortorella can go over to him after the game's over and after the press conference, if he's still there, whatever, and put his arm around him and be like, see you tomorrow, buddy. You know what I mean? Like there obviously can't be resentment and the relationship needs to be like that. But Tortorella, like he had said, he's not going to cower to him, nor should he. Like you see this so many times in other sports, and I always bring up Press Taylor and Carson Wentz. John DeFilippo left. Frank Reich leaves. John DeFilippo leaves. They were veteran coaches that when Carson Wentz came here, they were on the staff. So Carson Wentz, although he was the second overall pick in the draft, he's from friggin' North Dakota. Or so was he North Dakota or South Dakota? I don't remember. North Dakota State. Yep. North Dakota State. So it's like, all right, dude, you're the second pick, but who the hell are you? You could suck, right? So they coach him hard. John DeFilippo, I don't think Carson liked it, coached them hard. Frank Reich was the big brother, put his arm around him. DeFilippo was the guy that really coached them hard. When those guys left, now it's Press Taylor. Man, Press Taylor works for him. Carson Wentz doesn't work for Press Taylor. Carson Wentz worked for John DeFilippo. Carson Wentz worked for Frank Reich. He would never question him. man, you get these other people to come in there. And now you have Doug Peterson, who isn't going to be like, hey, this isn't going to fly. Sometimes you can get away with your assistant coaches, your coordinators being the bad cop, and you can be the good cop, but you need the balance there. And if Tortorella's doing this, that's awesome. That's awesome. It's not going to last forever. They may get tired of each other after a while, but this is exactly what you need to develop a young player like this, Tyler.
The one thing with coaching staffs, when you play good cop, bad cop like that, the coach that plays the bad cop role has to be respected.
Yes.
Right. You can't be somebody, and you bring up Press Taylor. It's an excellent comparison, right? You can't be the guy who, when you walk into the locker room, people go, yeah, it's Press Taylor. That's my buddy. But like, whatever. He's fine. You got to, if you're going to play the bad cop role, you've got to be the guy that's, is respected, stern, but fair. Maybe a little bit of a jerk at times, as you brought up, but again, fair in their, jerkness, I guess.
Right. Not like it's like Tortorella, like sometimes Tortorella may get out of line. It doesn't mean what he's saying is wrong though. Right. And that's maybe where he gets himself in trouble, but it's awesome. This is the kind of stuff you need too. To talk about the Flyers. Cause we can talk about the games all you want. They lost 3-0. My head's not going to be exploded because they lost 3-0. But the fact that the young stud and the coach are screaming at each other on the bench.
Yeah, it's so funny when I, you talk about the guys that they moved, right? When I think about Morgan Frost, I'm like, there were times where I would watch Morgan Frost make a play and I'm like, thank you. Finally, that is what we've been looking for. That is he'll have an extended streak of 2 or 3 games in a row. I think he had a point streak of 4 or 5 games at one point. And I'm like, this is the Morgan Frost that we have been clamoring for a while since they acquired him. And then he kind of like goes back into his shell and turtles up. And I know that Morgan Frost is the guy that John Tortorella picked on at times. He's the guy that he sent up to the booth a lot. But like, there was just way too many instances of like, please, please, please just sustain this. And it never happened.
Yeah, it's true. Well, listen, you want to talk about like that is going in the locker room right there. John Tortorella took us right into the locker room. In the locker room is sponsored by Valley Forge Tourism. Winter weekend getaways, family-friendly affordability await in Valley Forge and Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. Valley Forge and Montco have so much to offer, like must-see historical sites, tons of family attractions, a vibrant art scene, outdoor activities, shopping, and more. And just 18 miles from Philly, from downtown Philly. It's just a shot on 76. Boom! You're there. ValleyForge.org can help you discover hidden gems, endless activities, and tons of places to stay in Montco. Get started planning that next getaway today. ValleyForge.org. Make it family time. Make it Montco. So that was in the locker room. The Eagles are in the locker room. Real quick on that. It like 2000, when they won a Super Bowl, the group was special. They were very close. And the standing for the national anthem brought the team closer together. Everybody pretty much said that. Chris Long said that. Malcolm Jenkins said that. Even if they didn't necessarily agree with the point of view of one, they respected it. And I'm not talking about Chris Long and Malcolm Jenkins there, but you know what I mean? Like it brought them closer together. When you think about teams that have won, because, like not everybody has talent like the Eagles have, but Kansas City's on par with them. Like I think the Eagles are better than Buffalo, but Buffalo has a lot of talent and a great quarterback. The Lions have a ton of talent. So you need talent. But as we learned last year, if whatever is, you're not getting along in the locker room and guys aren't pulling in the same direction, you can go from 10-1 to getting blown out in the wild card round. That's what happened to the Eagles. There was strain internally. Jalen Hurts and the coach. I know that like Howard Eskin came out on the record and said Fletcher Cox was not happy with Jalen Hurts' behavior at the end of the season. There were veteran players that were not happy with Jalen Hurts, and he's come back and he's responded to that. Jalen Hurts, they're back in the Super Bowl. The point is that if you're not getting along in the locker room, then it makes it very difficult to win anything. 2008 Phillies, they had this chemistry, a great talent, but they had chemistry, right? Like normally when you're winning championships, it's because you're well-balanced and you're a well-coached team and like everybody is pulling in the same direction. And that's exactly what's happening with the Eagles right now. And it's awesome. I've heard many players, I think it was Cam Jurgens talk about it most recently, about how close and tight this team is. You have factions, When you have Buddy Ryan pitting the defense against the offense, yeah, that's great for the defense, not great for the offense. I worked with Ike for a long time, and he would say, like, you're with your position group more than anybody, and then you're with the defense. If you're a defensive player, how much do you actually see the offense? You see them around, but you're not in meetings with them. There's no defensive meetings. Nick Sirianni will come in for the defensive meetings, but like, so you really, like, you're with the defensive players, you're with your position group a lot. So there could be resentment. There could be cliques between the offense and the defense or in that defensive room. The Eagles don't have any of that. What else do we have here? Oh, Justin Tucker is a massage predator. You believe this? I don't know, man. Like, so what came out yesterday, and it was weird because you also saw there was a tweet from a couple years ago that just, like, I don't even know who the person was, but he had said something about, like, Justin Tucker being thrown out of a couple of different massage places. So the allegations are a lot like Deshaun Watson, that he was going and he was getting these massages done. 6 women, allegations that he engaged in inappropriate behavior during massage therapy sessions. And this was a Baltimore Banner story. And they spoke to 6 women about their allegations, which go back to 2012 to 2016. 5 of them alleged Tucker requested a massage of his pelvic region or inner thighs, where he was very happy when he was doing it, and he intentionally exposed himself to them. They're claiming he brushed them with his penis, and there was other stuff that was going on similar to Deshaun Watson. Several therapists said Tucker's behavior was so egregious that they ended his sessions earlier, refused to work with him again. Tucker, in a statement, said that denied it and said that he always sought to conduct themselves with the utmost professionalism. There you go. And he said never been accused of anything like this before. So listen, I don't know if this is going to be investigated. I think it was investigated and nothing came from it by the authorities. One of the massage people said, I've done hundreds and hundreds of massages, and I've never had someone else do that. So there you go. I don't, like, people are going to say, oh, they could be out for the money or whatever, or this dude could have done it. Be interesting to see where it goes from here. And if Baltimore, the Ravens keep him. They won good this year. I think it was a great opportunity to be like, hey, you know what? Because everybody told me, you can't get rid of him. He's the best kicker in NFL history. Now you can get rid of him. Just saying. Right? Especially if you get it. I don't know. They're going to investigate. The NFL is going to investigate. So there's that. Uncle Jamie's coming up next. I want to talk to him. Obviously, we'll get his Eagles take. But Terry Rozier is in the headlines for being involved. And it doesn't say that he actually was involved in throwing games or doing the same things that have been alleged from the Porter dude, but it's in the same type of a circle. So we'll go over it, and no one should really be surprised, but this dude has made so much money. I guess you're surprised if he is involved in doing it. Philly, John Marks, PHLY. Back after this. Don't go anywhere. 2-2. All right, so listen. You're looking for something to do. You get to that point in the winter where you're like starting to go stir crazy. You're like, all right, well, what can we do? Tomorrow's February, right? Weather's starting to get a little bit warmer. So go on your weather app and be like, all right, well, next weekend it's going to be a little bit warmer. Check it out. Winter weekend getaways, family-friendly affordability, Valley Forge in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. So much to offer. How about historical sites for the kids? You know what? Maybe it's a girlfriend. You're looking for something like cool to do. Why not say, hey, like, let's go check out George Washington's, where he lived in 1776. Something different, something cool. Tons of family attractions, a vibrant art scene, outdoor activity, shopping, dining, so much more. And it's just 18 miles from downtown Philadelphia. All right. Accessible to the Turnpike, 76, everywhere. ValleyForge.org can help you discover hidden gems, endless activities, and tons of places to stay in Montco. Get started planning that next getaway today at ValleyForge.org. ValleyForge.org. Make a family time Make it Montco. All right, let's talk about Ace. And Ace is the place when you're pathetic like me. Yeah, I even though it's now on like my, and it's like I need a whiteboard in my house, and then I can just put it up there and be like, all right, like this is what I have to try to do, right? I don't want to be pathetic. I want to be able to hang a TV. When I get a new TV, I want to myself be able to put the bracket in the wall, drill it, find the studs, and then we can put the TV up. But Ace Hardware Home Services, I can't do that right now. So what do you do? What do you do if it's something like that? Equipment installation. What if you have an air conditioning issue? What if your heater is gone bazoink? What do you do? AceHardwareHomeServices.com. They are ready for you. Repairs, seasonal maintenance, installation, upgrades. They'll handle it all. Free estimates. And they bring understanding. They will listen to your goals, and the job isn't completed until you're satisfied. AceHardwareHomeServices.com. The power of the Ace brand, striving to be the best, most trusted provider of home preservation services. A wide range of residential maintenance, installation, and home repair services are available. Plumbing, heating, cooling, electrical, free estimates on equipment installation and replacement. This is with trusted advisors and options for you. Emergency services are available. They're not no banker's hours. Yeah, but actually, banker's hours aren't what they used to be. But anyway, emergency situation, weekend, nights, boom. Ace Hardware Home Services. Check them out online. AceHardwareHomeServices.com to get started on your next project. Hoo-ah. Yeah, I remember I wasn't at the time, I wasn't a TrueMark Financial customer. This is probably when I was in high school or early college in my 20s. And if I didn't make it to the bank by 3 p.m. on Friday, they didn't even have Saturday hours from 9 to 12. You would have to find a branch, and I won't name the bank. You have to find a branch that is like, I don't even know where, like 10 miles away to be open from 9 to 12 on a Saturday.
Yeah, it's the thing I never understood. Like, and mobile banking has made life so much easier, and the outside ATMs and stuff like that. But like the banks and important places, the post office before you could do everything online too. Like, oh yeah, we're open from 8 a.m. until or 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. And it's like, okay, everybody in the world works
Monday through Friday, and if you can't make it, screw you.
Yeah, like what do you want me to do? You got to take my lunch break? Yeah, I gotta take PTO to go to the bank.
And now to compete, you need to be open, not necessarily on Sundays, but you need to be open extended hours, like and not just the bank. Yeah, like I remember my buddy worked at a bank, and he had banker's hours. He'd be at happy hour every day, 5 o'clock. He didn't work on Saturdays. He loved it because we went from working in a restaurant where we're working nights and weekends to where now he's got banker's hours. But yeah, no more banker's hours. There you go. I used to when I worked in high school, I worked at Luigi's in the Willow Grove Park Mall, and then I was an office cleaner. So you would get the check. Like what am I making at that time? Like $150 a week, $200 a week, maybe via check. So what do? I'm an 18-year-old kid. You go to a check cashing place, which is what I would do, and they cash my check. Or you gotta go to the bank, and then you deposit it, and then maybe if you have enough to cover it before it clears, then you can take some money out. You couldn't even go because it's like, nope, can't make it 3 o'clok. Screw you.
When I first started working, I didn't even have an account. I just was keeping cash in my dresser drawer. So I would go to my mom and I would hand her my check and I'd be like, hey, I'll endorse this. I need you to cash it. So every 2 weeks, me and my mom would go to the bank and she'd be like, all right, well, here's your check for $87. Here you go. Congratulations. Don't spend it all in one place.
All right. Well, Uncle Jamie down at Central City Toyota, he accepts cash, check. I don't know if he accepts cash, check. Diners Club. Do you guys still take Diners Club down there?
Still have Diners Club. Is there still Diners Club out there? That'd be great.
There is. I believe there is.
How many people know your reference when you went to your commercial segment? We'll be back in 2 and 2. The Chuck Woolery 2 and 2. I love that.
It's a good question. Probably who knows the Diners Club? Less than knows the Diners Club reference. Because that's kind of a get your Sanka. The Sanka's on the menu, and then you can pay with the Diners Club.
No doubt.
All right. So before I get your reaction on the Eagles, so this Terry Rozier situation, where this guy's on a $90 million contract.
Yeah.
But he's under federal investigation for more or less kind of the Jonte Porter, who was who was intentionally leaving games because of injury or intentionally getting unders, and there was a ton of betting activity on those games, yeah, like you're going to get caught. These guys are so dumb. People are paying attention. All of a sudden, there's $100,000 on unders for Jonte Porter, which is never bet. Gee, I wonder if there's something funny going on. Oh, and he left the game with an eye injury. All right. So Rozier left the game in March of 2023. He played 9 minutes and 36 seconds and did not return. He actually didn't play the rest of the season. I think there was 8 games or 9 games left in the rest of the regular season. So no one looked at it. The problem was the game was already pulled. So there was already something going on. His props for that game, if you went to bet it before the game time, they weren't even out there. So there must have been some unusual activity leading up to it, or especially on that morning. But Jamie, I don't think we should be surprised. Maybe because everybody would think this guy has a $90 million contract. Why would he do this? And by the way, he's being probed. The NBA investigated and didn't find that he had any wrongdoing going on. But we can't be surprised when guys are going to get involved in things like this, because while he might be making $25 or $28 million a year, Uncle Sam takes some of that. The agent takes some of that. You buy a couple houses, then all of a sudden you're borrowing against how much money you're getting next year. And then you do it again. So making $100,000 off of one game, that's money that'll pay his bills for the next month or whatever. But
yeah, it's interesting. I'm certainly old enough to remember, I think you are too, back in the, 70s and 80s when there were point shaving scandals, right? And the argument always was back then about you can't have legalized sports betting because you're going to have scandals like this. So fast forward to modern times, legalized betting has blown, multi-billion-dollar business. And to your point, as you were talking, I was thinking the exact same thing. The guy's got a $90 million contract. All right, 30% of that to the government, another whatever to state tax, another to his agent, his bills. He's living a $90 million lifestyle, right? So think about his bills. So
if he's got kids,
probably cash poor.
Yep.
And that's what happens, and that's why these guys make these kind of choices. It's not crazy to think about. Anybody should watch the Allen Iverson story, right? Watch that documentary of how he blew through his money. How many stories are there? Now you have the opportunity with these guys having some bit of insider knowledge. Think about why the Federal Trade Commission exists for stock trading, right? For this exact reason, for inside knowledge. Athletes who can do prop bets. And they're hyperactive about it, but it probably goes on more than you know. There's probably a friend of a friend of a friend who gets a whisper from somebody on a team that this kid ain't playing. He places the bet. Next thing you know, there's a cash transaction. How often does that happen in a Division I or even a Division I AA kind of sport? With this type of betting that's out in this world, it just, it's happening. The question is, what level of integrity do you believe is occurring in all the sports that you see? The big talk with the, in the NFL is that, the Chiefs, they're paying the refs, or the refs are constantly in Patrick Mahomes' pocket. That's the basic integrity of the sport. And the argument always was, when I was a kid, from the commissioners that were in place, were that the integrity of the sport will be affected if you allow sports gambling. Now you've allowed sports gambling. Let's talk about the integrity of the sports.
Yep. Yeah. The only thing, and the NBA is not helping itself with load management, and there's not a lot that the league can actually do. They're trying, but they realize that this isn't good for viewership. This isn't good for fans. But if fans don't believe what they're watching is real or it's compromised, that's where the sport goes bye-bye.
Yeah.
That's where you lose your sport. And I think there's an easy fix to it, at least with this, because this is so easy. And if you take it from the player's perspective, if I just say I hurt my ankle and I leave the game, then I bet $100,000 on my unders. Well, now I just made $100,000, right? You don't realize it's going to come back to you. He did this back in 2023. I would assume right now, based on the available information in the cases that happened, these guys realize they can't do this. This didn't happen last week. This happened over a year ago, a year and a half, almost 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
But eliminating the over-under, or you can only take overs, but eliminating the player prop over under in the games, especially in the NBA, is what you have to do. In football, you can't control. Like running back can't control for the most part. But just eliminate the unders, because then this guy can't say, "Oh, my arm, it's broken.
Yeah,
I can't play anymore." And then it takes the possibility and the temptation of the player totally out of it.
To your point, John, a lot of people say, "Oh, you're crazy to say that, the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, the MLB would ever go away." Look at prize fighting. When I was a kid, prize fighting was the biggest sport. Muhammad Ali, all the TV. Look what happened to prize fighting because of the integrity of the sport.
Oh my
Look
God.
what happened to horse racing, the king of all sports, because of the integrity of the sport. It's real, man. I'm telling you, it's real. And that is the byproduct of all this stuff that is going on with sports betting. So interesting to see how it plays out over these next years.
Eagles in the Super Bowl, blow out the Commanders, but that was actually a closer game than the final score would indicate. They were down 11 in the third quarter. They were down 2 on a 4th and 5 where the Eagles went for it and got a big gain and scored a touchdown and then got another touchdown after that. 1.5 underdogs against the Chiefs. We'll see where that line goes next week. But I think this is a field goal game. 2 very good teams. You always worry about Pat Mahomes weaseling away and finding a way to get a field goal at the end of the game. But these are the 2 best teams in football. And I'm not going to apologize for how the Eagles got there. Nobody should. But how do you feel about the matchup here as we're a week and 2 days away?
So I watched the Eagles against Green Bay. Eagles, talent-wise, best team. I watched them against the Rams. Jalen got hurt, so the Rams came back a little bit. Without question, the better team. I watched them against the Commanders. Even when it was a 2-point game, no question in my mind, the Eagles were the better team. I go into the Super Bowl, no question in my mind that the Eagles are the better team. I don't think it's a field goal game. I think the Eagles thump them. I think it's a 10-plus point game. I think the Eagles win this game handily. And the reason why is that if you go across the entire offense, defense, special teams, coaching, I can make an argument in every regard the Eagles are better than the Chiefs. The Chiefs have not played up to what they are. I get Mahomes. I get it all. I get the Andy Reid lore. I get all of it. The Eagles are the better team. They will win this game by over 10 points. 11-1 in my college football picks.
9-1 in the college football
11-1.
11-1,
football pick, including the national championship game, which was another thumper that I predicted. So I'm telling you, the Eagles are just better in every aspect of the game. Jalen's better than Mahomes. They have better skill positions. No answer for Saquon. I will tell you where the one question I have is, does Andy Reid have such an advantage over Nick Sirianni and Kellen Moore vis-a-vis the design of plays, vis-a-vis that one special teams play? Remember the Kadarius Toney punt return in the last Super Bowl to the 3-yard line? Does that exist? Possibly. Fundamentally, the Eagles are just better in all aspects of the game. I expect them to win.
Yeah, I think you make a compelling case. Here's the 2 things I worry about: Travis Kelce and Steve Spagnuolo. That is a great defense. We don't talk enough about it's carried their team the last 2 years. They don't win the Super Bowl last year without that defense. And Spagnuolo has such a knack. That corner blitz that he sent, I think it was on the last play for Buffalo.
Yeah.
Nobody saw that coming.
No.
When you look at the replay, and give the corner credit, because he was not even leaning in there. You would have no idea that he was coming. Short side of the field. He didn't have it's unbelievable. Spagnuolo, he wanted Doug to hire him. He wanted to be here, and they didn't hire him, but he's turned himself into, he's a borderline Hall of Fame coordinator. They don't put coordinators in the Hall of Fame, but he is.
You can make the case that, when he was the coach of the Rams, the head coach of the Rams, they didn't do anything great. They were a 500 team. Certain guys are just hell bent to be coordinators and not head coaches. A Vic Fangio, a Jim Johnson, a Spagnuolo, right? Just a long time, Jeff Stoutland, right? Just long time assistants who were just experts. And that's what Spagnuolo is. That's why Andy Reid brought him there, man. From the years of the Giants, when he was with the Eagles, the guy's an expert. Not a head coach, but he is an expert coordinator. So, yeah, once again, coaching is a piece of it. I just think the Eagles are too skilled. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, John, Saquon is the difference, man. He is the difference.
Yeah, it's the best Eagles season. Certainly anybody offensively. I guess T.O. would be rivaled with it, but I'll think Saquon's year this year over anything I've ever seen. Reggie White, when he had 21 and a half sacks in 12 games, is ridiculous. But yeah, Saquon Barkley, it's been not only, I mean, I was expecting a big year out of him. Not only has he exceeded expectations, he takes the first freaking play in the NFC Championship game, goes 60 yards, and you saw it because he had so much room, and you saw the holes. You're like, uh-oh. But it's not a 20-yard game because he breaks tackles and he's able to maneuver out of it. And then forget about catching him. I mean, the guy's unbelievable.
The guy is just a natural, man. Just think of all the years that he wasted in New York with that crap line that they put him behind. All those years, and he was still good. And all those years that he wasted, he comes here and he put him behind that Jeff Stoutland line, and boom, look at the guy. Just amazing. I love to watch that dynamic.
It's exciting. All right, you're live from Central City Toyota in the heart of University City, 55 years on Chestnut Street. What's going on down there right now?
Yeah,
Jamie?
so last day of the month, so come get a last minute deal. We still got that buy three, get the tire program going on, so you can get that, today. Yeah, big things happening. Big inventory. New car inventory is stout. Many Toyotas arriving at our sister store, Ardmore Toyota. We have a lot of used cars in stock, so a good time to come down. Finance rates are very competitive right now with Toyota, so you can get the best brand in the market at a good price.
All right, CentralCityToyota.com. That gets you the pre-owned inventory. That gets you new inventory, both from Central City and from Ardmore Toyota. You get it all right there. Uncle Jamie, thank you very much. We'll talk next week before the Super Bowl.
Next week. Bye-bye.
All right, there he is. That's Uncle Jamie. 11-1. Are you kidding me? Uncle Jamie, 11-1 in your picks. Is that really where we're at?
Spot on. I mean, he was spot on the entire college football playoff.
Yep. He was locked and loaded.
And it's not like he was taking the games just saying, "Oh, I think Penn State's going to win. Oh, I think Notre Dame's going to win." It's 11-1 against the spread.
It was he had confident reads on the game, and he has a confident read on this game. Could the Eagles win double digits over the Chiefs? Oh my God. I would not know what to do. And by the way, before you say something, I want to shout out to everybody watching on TV. Switch over to allphly.com to watch the rest of the show. Hooah, go ahead, Tyler.
I'm hearing a lot of people, a lot of smart people like Jamie say stuff like that. And I'm like, am I getting chesty as the week goes on? Am I getting more and more excited as the week goes on? Because, at first, my initial gut reaction was Chiefs win this game. It's just a gut reaction. And now I'm diving into it. And as I said to you yesterday, when I think about how they win this game, when I think about how the two teams win this game, the Eagles' path to success is so simplistic, which is crazy to me in a Super Bowl, but it is. It's a simple formula to say, run the football, protect the football, play good defense. Easier said than done, but I'm feeling better and better as the week goes on. The unfortunate part is we have another week to go.
Yep. Yeah, we'll talk about it because I have a bunch of stuff on the Chiefs as well. All right, let's welcome in. We end the week with the intern Dalton stat of the week, and he joins us right now. I mean, I'll just say, intern Dalton, you better be cooking up something special for the Super Bowl. And I don't see your video right now, intern Dalton.
Is it okay?
It is not. No, it is not. But you can speak. It's okay. We can bring you up if we don't have your video. You can
Okay.
speak. What you got, brother?
How you doing, John? How's everything going?
Good.
It's felt like a long week.
Yeah, I mean, listen. This is I wait the entire year for this. And when your team's in the Super Bowl, I could do this for a month. I don't need a game for a month. I'm ready to talk about this. What do you got? End the week for us. Something good.
So I got some Eagles postseason stats. What they've done so far in their 3 games this year, the postseason. So offensively, they have averaged 366.3 net yards per game, 138.7 passing yards per game, 227.7 rushing yards per game, 35 points per game. And then as a defense, they have allowed 245.7 passing yards per game, 105.7 rushing yards per game, 18.3 points per game. They had 10 turnovers, 4 interceptions, 6 fumbles. And in those 10 turnovers, the offense has turned them into 44 points.
Wow. That's good. And they have no turnovers on offense. None.
Is
A
0.
10 to 0. Jesus. I mean, that's really how you win. But no one wants to bring that up. We have to talk about Jalen Hurts not throwing the ball well enough. He's in a straitjacket. A.J. Brown's in a straitjacket because of Jalen Hurts. All right. Well, I mean, so that's actually, I hadn't even thought about how many points off of turnovers. So 44 points off of turnovers. And when you look at the NFC Championship game, it seemed like every turnover they got was in a big spot. And they're forced turnovers too. This isn't just some jabroni that's fumbling the ball because it slides out of his hands. They're Peanut Tillman punching the ball out of there. Dalton.
Yeah, well, it's impressive to see what they've done in a year with this defense and how they've just turned it around from the end of last year to now.
It's amazing. All right, Dalton, we're going to let you go because there's just a lock on the screen. So have a great week. We appreciate it because you can't see your wonderful face. But thank you very much. That's intern Dalton and his stat of the week. 44 points off of 10 turnovers.
That's the thing, John. You think about that. You're averaging over 4 points of per possession off of your turnovers. That means even at the minimum, you're capitalizing and kicking a field goal on a turnover, an unexpected change of possession. And they've done a good job of, especially in the short field, when the turnovers are in the short field, of not just settling, but of scoring touchdowns. And like you said, it's a 10-0 turnover disparity. If you go an entire postseason without turning the football over, or an entire NFC, drive without turning the football over, it's a pretty easy way to understand why they're playing next weekend.
No.
My bad. You're right. My bad.
I'd rather turn the ball over throwing than not turn the ball over because that's more important. Throw the ball more and turn it over. That's better because that makes everybody else feel better. Man. Turn the ball over.
Nothing better than 300 yards and 150 of them are garbage time because your team down 2 scores because you threw 3 picks.
The level of idiocy right now with these people is staggering. It's amazing. Shout out to everybody that's watching live on YouTube as you do every morning and involved in the chat and everything else. We appreciate it. And we have a big week next week leading into the Super Bowl. Audio only podcast listeners, thank you. And if you want to listen to the podcast, the audio version in your car, whatever, on your phone, it's available. Tyler gets it up relatively after the show's over. Just search Philly with John Marks. And remember, when you're on YouTube, you can watch it whenever, but smash the subscribe button, like what you're watching, comment, get involved in the show. We appreciate it. That's how other people can learn about Philly with John Marks and PHLY. Have a great weekend. Oh, you didn't give your picks for the Pro Bowl. Damn it. All right. What?
Oh, man.
Just tweet it out. Tweet it out.
Everybody has fun, John. That's the picks.
There you go. I will not be watching. Everybody have a great weekend. We'll talk to you 8 a.m. on Monday. See ya.